everybody. Please be seated. Thank you very much. Let me begin my statement first and foremost by wishing each and every one of you success and congratulations. Pongezi kwa kila mmoja wenu. Congratulations. And indeed, it is a pleasure to be here amongst you today, and I want to join Cicely in recognizing especially our two partners, Kenya Commercial Bank and McKinsey, for agreeing to have us come together like this, because this is what true partnership is. We are all seeking to achieve the same thing, so when we have an opportunity, let us celebrate that success also together and send a strong message of what our agenda is for this country. So let me begin with a word of thanks again to the Kenya Commercial Bank Foundation, to McKinsey, and to all the other corporate sponsors, institutions, as well as dedicated people who have made this day possible. There are a few things in this life that are as honorable as helping our children develop their gifts. And we are grateful to each and every one of you for the work that you have done for these young people in front of us. Thank you very much. We're also at a very interesting place, because where we are today and the building that is just to the side of us has also got a bit of history, which I believe can encourage the young people here. Because some half a century ago, a Kenyan who was also not much older than you was engaged to design the building that is to the side of us here. And this was one David Mutiso, who had graduated in 1960 and was a man who was struggling to establish himself. And he was commissioned, amongst others, to design this KICC building here. And they got down to work, and this building was eventually opened in 1973. This building is the symbol of Nairobi, and in many ways it is also a symbol of Kenya, but it is the work of a young man, just like you, who are here in front of us today. And the question and the challenge before each and every one of you here is to say 50 years down the road, what is it that you will have done that will leave a mark like David Mutiso left, that we still remember today? That should be your challenge. That should be your focus. That should be where you are looking to go. And we are supposed to be here to help you achieve that dream, that vision, and that ability. Indeed, as you rise to that challenge, I want to once again say that you can be sure that my government will be with you every step of the way. In fact, just yesterday, when we were in cabinet, I clearly stated that we must prioritize the payments through the AGPO program to our young people, to our women, to persons with disabilities, because we don't want to discourage them. We had that 30% procurement safeguarded for men, for our youth, women, and persons with disabilities, so that we can encourage our young people to do business. It is wrong, therefore, for government to delay payments to these people, because by delaying, you are discouraging them, you are ruining their ability to advance. So I expect all ministries and parastatals who owe these young people money, you must pay them so that they can continue with their work. That 30% that we set aside for our young people and other marginalized groups, I was quite excited by the response that we have seen from them. We gave you an opportunity, and we have watched you rise to it. Mine is just to encourage that we are still not yet at the 30%. There is still much greater room, and I encourage ministries, like I said, and parastatals, to expand that space and give more opportunity. Because even as we open up opportunities for you to do business, we must also accept that it is our responsibility as your elders, as leaders, to also work hand in hand with you to prepare you for the world of work. And that cannot mean merely preparing you to perform the tasks that paid work demands of you. It must also inculcate the values that are the bedrock of this nation. And that is why my government has dedicated itself to reforming schools and colleges right across the country. And that is why I must stress today that dialogue and deliberation are the only real effective means of solving conflicts that sometimes arise between us. Now, it is true that education is the engine of our growth. Kenya grows by the intelligence and ingenuity of her people, especially of our young Kenyans. But too often, the skills of our young people have not matched the opportunities that are open to them. And that is one reason why my government has been especially keen to reform our technical training institutes. Last year, we set aside an unprecedented amount of money for students in technical and vocational training. We set aside 300 million shillings for loans and bursaries for students joining these institutions and whose parents may be financially constrained. Equally, there are 70 new TVET colleges under construction, and once complete, they will double our capacity to handle well over 100,000 students, enough to seriously reduce the number of our young people who, after KCSE, do not find places in institutions of higher learning. But let me be clear, we cannot afford to let the energy and enterprise of these young Kenyans go to waste. And that is why my government will ensure that there is money to support them so long as they stay on an academic or vocational path. To meet their needs, we are also working on new models of funding. The Higher Education Loans Board, better known as HELB, is now trying out sector-specific funds in our technical and vocational colleges. And one encouraging example is the After Elimu Fund, which is funded by USAID and the private sector. And its aim is to educate the nurses and medical staff who will run our medical colleges. The After Elimu Fund has already dispersed some 500 million Kenya shillings to slightly over 10,000 students. And I want to thank the Higher Education Loans Board, which has contributed more than 300 million, and USAID, which has given over 200 million shillings to this program. And let me also take this opportunity to recognize the private as well as the philanthropic sectors who have done so much to support these initiatives. Indeed, I trust that others will replicate this model in other sectors, while always, of course, respecting the free choices and academic development of our young people. Let me stress that these reforms will be felt right across the country. And since last year, we have been working to make sure that every constituency has, at the very least, a fully equipped technical college. We have already built the first 60, and the batch of 70 colleges that I mentioned earlier will be complete by this time next year. In the past, not every Kenyan had access to these opportunities, but it is time to leave that past firmly behind us as we move forward. Equally important, and we have had other initiatives aimed at empowering our youth. The Youth Fund, for example, has extended financial support to many young Kenyans to start their own small businesses. And as we promised, we have established an Uwezo Fund, which also gives loans to young men and women and builds the skills they need to become self-reliant and productive. It is sometimes worrying to hear that these smaller enterprises do not scale up, or that they do not contribute much to the economy. And I believe this is a great misunderstanding, because it is these small enterprises that are amongst the most creative of our economy, precisely because they are smaller and newer, and the cost of trying out new ideas are lower for them. We have already seen a number grow into much bigger concerns, and even when they do not scale up, the skills, the practices, and the habits they teach are invaluable for the development, for their development down the road. The fact of the matter is that I believe that the future, and not just the future, the present of our nation is in the hands of our youth. I believe in their patriotism, I believe in their energy and intelligence, I believe in your willingness to work. I want you to be my partners in remaking this country, and my government's program will continue to reflect my faith in you. Indeed, just as I opened up with a word of challenge to the young people of this country, let me also close with a word of challenge to the private sector. I think you have seen what my government is doing to try and raise standards in the public sector, and indeed to raise a new generation of Kenyans who can hold their own in global competition. I am grateful for those of you that have lent these efforts support, but I must encourage you to do more. For in truth, you in the private sector are amongst the greatest beneficiaries of the hard work that is being done and the huge investment that is being made in our young people to prepare them. Once they have been educated, it is you in the private sector who are able to choose from the best of them. It is therefore time to turn beneficiaries into benefactors. It is time you did more to teach our children the skills they need to make the most of their gifts, and more to support the educators who work so hard to educate the young Kenyans who will eventually come to work for you. I am very encouraged by some of the programs about which I have learned, things like the internship program by Tusky Supermarket, which has taken on so many young people and taught them the skills they need to succeed in the workplace. But of course, the programs whose graduates we celebrate here today, we want to thank all the corporate sponsors who have helped and given internship to these young people. And I also want to invite others to emulate the example set by these people here. I encourage them to come and sit with government, to sit with our partners in education, give us your expertise, impart your skills to our young people so that they can become the best that they can be. Let me conclude, my good friends, by saying this. I was just looking at this generation next. And you know, there's a very interesting statistic I've just seen here, that more than 65% of those who participated in this generation program had a KCSE of C or below. But today, we are celebrating you and your achievements. Today, we are celebrating you and your achievements. And why did I just pick on this one? Because as I'm sure you're all aware of the challenges that we're having in our schools. Where some have come to think that the best way to release their frustration is by burning dormitories, failing to recognize that those same dormitories will have to be built by their own parents again. Very shameful, actually. Very, very shameful. But even as we deal with that particular problem, and I promise you it shall be dealt with firmly, but even as we deal with that, we also have to ask ourselves, what is, at the bottom of this, and start to try and deal with some of the challenges. Exam pressure, exam pressure brought upon by parents like some of the ones who are here. You must have an A. If you don't have an A, don't come home. Pressures that result in some of our young people going to excesses, and then the crooks in our society selling exam papers, something that's not going to happen, so now they can't find the exam paper, so panic sets in, new ways of trying to release frustrations. Don't, because you're going to do the exam. And this time you're going to do it clean. And this is what's going to happen. Nothing is going to change. But the reason I'm stating it is that a human being is not made by what grade he or she gets. Let us allow our children to work hard. Let us encourage them that regardless of what grade you get, the important thing is that you did your best. That is what is important. Because it is not grades that make, like I said, people. It is the character of that person. That is what makes you somebody to be recognized. And like I said, here you are. The majority of you with C and below, we are celebrating the fact that through your training you have gotten jobs, you are making something out of your life. That is what is important. So as I said, as we shall deal with those who think that the answer is burning, watajua dawa ya moto ni moto, lakini here, we also, as parents, as teachers, as guardians, must also recognize that we must allow our children to breathe. We must allow them, we shouldn't over-pressurize them, yeah? Because sometimes that pressure is what erupts in some of the things that we see. So, today is not a day to talk about burning schools. Today is a day to celebrate you who have achieved wonderful things. To once again congratulate you, to once again wish you every success, and to once again tell you that my government stands ready to continue to support the young people of this country to help us achieve our vision, our dream of making Kenya a truly middle-income country, not even by the year 2030, much earlier. And we can do this so long as we partner and move together. God bless you all, and let us move on. Asante sana.
Your Excellency, thank you very much. We'll request you to remain on stage, and I will invite PS Zainab to read for us the certificates for 10 graduates who will be a sample of your success beginning now.
All right. Your Excellency, we have 10 graduates today receiving the certificate, representing the entire class. Representing the two classes. Annette Wamalo. Let's give a round of applause for the graduates. B. Eric. Moses Opondo. Edna. Diana Jambi. Caroline Emily Kamau. And Dennis Kea.